I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video. There's another paid request, this time from David. Asked for a film called A Tale of Tales, and I didn't know what this was. Like, what is this? Came out, I guess, in 2015, slipped completely under the radar because I've never heard a single soul talk about this flick. It has Salma Hayek, it has John C. Reilly, which he's been in a few stuff, a lot of stuff with Will Ferrell. Other people, Toby Jones, he was the guy who's the voice of Dobby in Harry Potter films. He's in this. And it's pretty much 3 stories. I guess you'd call it an anthology, but they do this thing where it's an anthology, but all the stories are mixed in together, which I do think is its big detriment to the film. I wouldn't say I hated it because it's not bad on a visual note, with the way the sets are, with the way the costumes look, because it's this fantastical place, kind of an ode to Grimm's fairy tale, that type of era. And if you had these stories separately, beginning, middle, and end, I do think it would have worked better. Because it does this thing where it'll start off with a story and you're following along with it. But then it gets to a point and then it cuts to the second story. And they'll get to a point, then it cuts to the third story. They get to the point, but then go back to the first story. Then maybe we go back to the third story. But then we go back to the second story. Then a little bit further, then we go back to the first story. Then, finish this story off. Then maybe finish this story. I wouldn't say I got confused, but it loses any kind of momentum that is possibly built up by doing that. When you have a story, you're following it, and you try and get into it. Maybe you're trying to get into the characters. Maybe you're trying to get into whatever the ideology, whatever the point of the story is. Sometimes in these films is a morality tale. What are the morals, the implications of it? But then the stop and start, where we gotta go to this, then to this, then to this. I don't know why they did that. This is why anthology films usually do not work this way. This is why they usually don't do it that way. I mean, if you're gonna do it, Trick or Treat, a horror anthology, did that better. But even then, it fit mostly with the story. It's just that within the other story, you maybe see this character from story 1 and that story from story 3 and miss with this. It's just showing that we're all in the same universe. I don't think if this was trying to do that, it didn't do that fairly well. And this is not how it does it. Oh, okay, how the hell do I describe it? How the fuck? Okay, it starts with Salma Hayek, John C. Reilly, they're queen and teen. And Salma Hayek cannot get pregnant. She's sad about it. She wants to find a way. This random person comes in and goes, I know a way to do it. And I guess they take his word for it. He could be lying, but it's like, okay, they're desperate. They want whatever. I'm still thinking, well, this guy could be full of shit. But you don't take his word for it, but okay. And he says, anytime, if you want to birth, a death will have to happen sooner or later. And here's what you gotta do. You gotta get a water dragon. You gotta kill it. You have to eat the heart of a water dragon. But that heart has to be prepared by a virgin before you, queen, consume it. If you do that, you will give birth to a child. So the teen kills it, but he gets whipped in the stomach, so he dies of his wounds. Salma Hayek doesn't seem that fucking upset about it. She hasn't shed many tears for her husband. If you like John C. Reilly, he's in the film for like 5 minutes. The heart gets cooked, and Salma Hayek is eating it as if she's doing a remake of Jason Goes to Hell, The Final Friday. Oh, it's a big fucking heart. You just see her. I mean, just imagine a white room, a big fucking heart, and the dragon. It's in the water. I don't know if it was done practically or not, because the water's so murky, I could barely see what was happening. And it's not really a big battle. It's pretty much John C. Reilly in the suit, kills it. It wiggles around, slashes him, then it dies. But yeah, the water is fairly murky, so I could barely see what the hell was going on during that. So again, maybe it was practical. I don't know. I could barely tell. But I mean, it's this big heart. She's eating it. Because of that, she has a kid. And then the virgin that prepared it, she also has a kid. And so, weirdly enough, they both, even though the virgin did not eat, she didn't eat the heart. So I guess because the virgin just prepared the heart, she also got pregnant. I guess it's fantasy, it's magical. I guess you're just supposed to go into it. I'm like, if that's the case, why did Salma Hayek have to eat the heart? If the virgin, she didn't even have to eat the heart, she just had to prepare it. Why couldn't the witch be, I don't know. It just is what it is. I guess you just go with that with a lot of other grim fairy tales, whatever stories you talk about. And these kids are albino and they're twins. I always said the costumes are top notch. The way the sets look is a visual representation to remind you of fairy tales, and that was not bad. Salma Hayek, I like her as an actress. She's fine in this. But see, then it stops that story and goes to Vincent Cassel, who's another teen in another kingdom. He likes to sleep around. He gets enamored with this woman singing, and he's like, I want to... Who is this woman singing? And the woman doesn't want him to see her because she's very old. He's like, well, is there a way for me to get in touch with you? Stick your finger in the keyhole. Oh, you don't want to do it now? I'll do it later. So apparently, well, yeah, later, stick your finger in a keyhole. You mean like a glory hole, but reverse? This is her sticking a finger, not sticking your pecker in. Although if you stuck your pecker in a keyhole, it would hurt. But then that story stops, and it goes to the third story, where Toby Jones is another teen in another kingdom, and his daughter wants to get married, or she's worried about the future, who will she marry, but the teen, he doesn't pay attention. He's too busy obsessing over this flea that he wants to care for. Even has it feed on a little bit of his blood, and it gets a bit bigger, gets bigger enough that it will pull a carriage as big as Toby Jones's thumb. Then you're wondering where this is going with the flea. But then it cuts back to the first story, where twin, I don't want you to see that other kid, because you're a prince, you're going to be teen one day, fuck that kid. Then it's going, but no, now we're back to the second story, where the old woman, she snuck in, and got, the teen wanted to suck on her finger, she's like, no. Unbeknownst to him, you suck on my sister's finger. And then snuck in and slept with the teen. And then he finds out she's old and throws her ass out. And then there's a fucking witch. Hey, suck on my titty, even though you're unconscious. She does that. The witch leaves. So now the woman is young. Then cut to... No, we're back to the third story where Toby... To be or not to be, Jones's flea is now big. Fucking big. Why is he that big? I guess because he just fed him, and fleas in this world, fleas get that big from eating blood or eating meat. And then the flea dies. Now, I thought something was going to be done with this flea. Like, is this flea going to start attacking someone? Is this flea going to be a hero, a villain, something? No. The only reason for all this scene with the flea is to show something that Toby Jones is obsessed with. So not paying the fuck attention to his daughter and who should marry the daughter. And so when the flea dies, oh shit, there's all these people. Oh shit, I gotta tell them all to fuck off. Oh, I got an idea. Skin this flea, put the hide up. Whoever says what hide that is, but no one's going to guess it, because who would guess a flea for a hide this big? And lo and behold, an ogre. And when I say ogre, he doesn't look like Shrek. No, it's just a big guy. Maybe looks a little bit like... You remember Michael Berryman from the original Hills of Eyes? A little bit like him, if he was much taller. That'd be the best way I could describe it. Maybe he looks a little bit like... Oh, who is the guy who's Jason in Friday the 13th from 2009? Damn it, I should know this. It's on the tip of my tongue. Someone will mention in the comments. I can't remember. But, but then you're going, okay, where's this going? But then it cuts back to Salma Hayek. Because then we're getting to the ending of these three. Now we gotta go back to that. We gotta end that story. Then we gotta end the second story. Then we gotta end the third story. And then the actual ending is just kind of lame. And, you know, that's what I was working it up to. That's what I was leading up to. Really? It just... You know, the big flea thing, it was done CGI. Granted, I don't mind the design. It's not every day you see the design of a giant flea. But I wish it was done practical instead of noticeable CGI. The ogre, he just looks like a tall guy who's bald and his face is a little... But it just... There's nothing really done practical effects-wise. I thought that was a missed opportunity. If you want to make him monstrous or any of the sort, go to town with it. Like you're doing with the costumes and the way the kingdoms look. Go to town with that. But no. And the way it stops is, it just, that to me was the biggest drawback of the film. And really the stories, when you look at it, I would say the Salma Hayek story took probably the most interesting, because I thought the kids who played the twins, the albino twins, I thought they did fine acting wise. The idea that they care for each other and one wants to protect the other and there's a bond, you know, despite what the queen wants to say. And then this big almost... It's not quite a snake, but I don't mind the design. It's all done CGI, but I don't mind the design. It's kind of like a serpent snake dragging creature trying to kill one of the boys, but then they attack, you know, they fight it. I would say of the stories that was the best one, because I don't mind Salma Hayek as an actress. The whole consuming the heart thing. Number one, maybe think Jason goes to hell. To me, that's a good thing. Most people, that's a bad thing. And number two, nice little bit of gore. And again, the whole thing with the albino twins and the way it ends. Spoiler alert, I'll just spoilers. It ends with they kill the thing, they leave, and you can see this coming a mile away with how it's presented, but the creature dissolves and it's Salma Hayek. And the way it visually represents the dissolving from the creature back to Salma Hayek, I thought that was a good visual moment. That looked fairly good. The one with the Vincent Cassel, this story didn't even need to be in this movie. I don't even know why it's in this movie. Because if I go through that story being in the end, a teen who's horny, buddy, here's a girl Sinan, wants to get in touch with her. She's like, come back another time. She's trying to not have her skin look so old, still does, but her sister has a finger that doesn't look too old, so sticks the finger in the keyhole so he can enjoy for all he fucking wants. She sneaks in to sleep with the teen. The teen knows she's old as fuck, throws her out the window, sucks on the titty of a witch without her, because she's knocked out, is young, doesn't know how she's young because she got milk, so to speak, without her even knowing it. She goes to the teen's like, wow, you're hot. Let's be an item. The other sister's like, how did you do this? How did you do this? How did you do this? Annoys the other sister so much, the sister goes, oh, you want to know how I did it? I got flayed, and I got this and that, and skinned. And she buys it. So she goes to a guy, takes her out, skins her off screen. The last time we see her, she's walking, skinless, to the castle. I guess maybe to see her sister. But I swear to God, unless I missed something or I blacked out, we never see the sister's reaction. We never see any other person's reaction. We never see what happened to that girl. Is she dead? Is she alive? Did she go somewhere? I don't know what the fuck happened. Maybe I missed some dialogue. Maybe I missed some scene. But the last time I saw was that she was skinless. Because she bought into her young sister now. Young-looking sister. Her bullshit, she said. I guess her pride, her desperateness to look young. She went through that. She's walking skinless as if she's trying for a new Hellraiser movie. And you never see her again. So, this fucking story did not need to be in this. The third story is, meh. The first story, Just have those two stories and maybe build the characters a bit more. Maybe a little bit more action, or a little bit more either Tim Burton or Guillermo del Toro horror aspect, or something else to that nature. And the third one, she's taken with the ogre, goes to a cave. She wants to get the fuck out. She escapes. There's these people who are, I guess, like circus people. Like, they know how to walk a tightrope. They rescue her. Everything seems fine. The ogre attacks them, kills most of them. Almost all of them. She can't escape. She calms him down. Gets him, spoilers, I said spoilers. Sense of false security until she can get behind him and slits his throat. Which that almost seemed anticlimactic, honestly. And at the end of the day, with the movie, that's kind of what it seems like at the end, anticlimactic. Because the actual ending is, this showcases that the characters we've seen are in the same spot. Where the third girl who killed the ogre, she's the new queen. There's Toby Jones over there. Over here is one of the albino kids. Also, there's Vincent Cassel with the young chick. And then she knows that she's turned back to being old again. So she freaks out, she runs off. I think, and the others are looking up and they see one of the tightrope, I think the only one left alive, the tightrope person that helped save the girl, the queen. I'm knowing, this is really what it amounted to be? Really? It just seemed really fucking lame, man. So again, I'm like, well, this didn't amount to much of shit with the story. Is it scary? No. Is it suspenseful? No. Is it gory? There's a little bit of blood with a heart and a slit throat, but not a whole lot. Not, I mean, there's a woman's skin, but you see the aftermath, which is fine. But maybe if you're a hardcore fan of anything reminding you of a grim fairy tale, perhaps. Maybe if you saw the trailer and you loved it. Again, there's some nice visual, the landscape, again, costume such. But, I don't know. I mean, I didn't like it. I know I didn't really care much for it. Hate it? I mean, I've seen much worse films in the past month, so it's hard for me to hate the film. But, I mean, it's also a little over 2 hours long. So, again, just the way it does the anthology, the story, especially the middle portion, is rather boring. And, again, really not much of an ending to it. And even the way the actual movie ends is like, that's it? That's the big payoff? And even the third story, like this thing with the flea, seemed like a more interesting story than this fucking thing with the ogre. Like this whole thing with the flea, that was a more interesting story. That seemed like a more original story. This teen having this flea that he's feeding more and more and more. So I thought, since I didn't know much about what the hell this was based on, I thought it was going to be, oh, he wants to keep feeding this thing, so maybe the woman needs to marry, if someone's not a good suitor, Toby Jones will, in silence, kill the bad suitor, feed him to the flea. And this would be just, you throw him to the lions, instead of here, throw him to the flea that gets beater and beater and beater and beater and beater. Almost like a Little Shop of Horrors type of thing. Except, don't let the flea talk, but that'd be funny if it was a flea, but it was voiced by Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Maybe if you did a comedy version, but I don't know, parody. But yeah, the flea stuff was more interesting than the older stuff. So, you know what, maybe, in all intents and purposes, this is a rant, because I've been ranting a bit. Maybe it is a rant. Because I can't say I much care. I don't know. Sometimes I don't know. Usually I want to put rant for something I'm really, fuck this, you know, that type of thing. I don't know. All I know is that if you like the film, cool, it wasn't for me. I'll stick with plenty of other anthologies. Trick or Treat, Creep Show, Cat's Eye, Tales from the Dark Side, you know, over this. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.